Everyone just singing, just pouring out of the heart, okay? From the top. Don't hold anything back. Just mamash tzakat הנשמה. Let your neshama scream a little bit. Ay bam 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 bam. Ay 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 ay. Okay. Here. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. So glad we have another chance to learn together. I wanted tonight's shir is Yita bat Miriam and Sarifka bat Sasha. It's Sean's mother. Refuah Shlema. 92nd birthday. Judy's mother's birthday. All right, very special. Yofi. All right, so tonight, what I wanted to just open up with is, I guess, if we're doing a shir, this is like the third shir on Tefila. How could you not open up with the Tefila? It's kind of, it's pretty weird. So I'll first just want to open up with the Tefila for all of us, that which we learn shouldn't freak us out. That which we learn shouldn't overwhelm us, and that which we're learning finds shelter in us, in our consciousness, in our day-to-day life. That the words that we're learning and the emotions of the heart that it stirs up come to fruition and are being able to be implemented, mamish, in our lives right now. One of the constant questions I get from so many people all the time is as follows: How do you hold on? How do you hold on to moments? How do you hold on to moments? You know those moments when everything is so clear? Happens sometimes, right? Not too often, but once in a blue moon when they happen. So it's a very deep thing. How do you hold on? How do you hold on to these moments? So tonight, Bezrat Hashem, we're going to be doing some real practical avodah, real practical work, not just learning. It'll be more like exercises. I'm not even going to ask if anyone's been doing homework for the last 2 weeks, but I'm sure you have. I don't doubt it. Unless you have a dog, of course, who ate your homework, but we're not worried about that right now so much. But tonight, it's amazing. I always can sense that when we have to learn something that demands utmost kavanah, utmost attention, it's always the hardest for some reason. It's the weirdest thing. Whenever there's something really, really strong we have to learn, the harder it is to just be able to stay really, really focused. Come, Achi. Come fast. Come. Don't worry about it. Oh, careful, the buckets. Okay. All right. Well, anybody here afraid of commitment? There's nachlaot, right? No one's afraid of that. That's all nervous laughs as to what was once, but not anymore in life, some people are petrified of when they learn about tefillah, they learn about davening. So what petrifies them is that they'll engage in what they're learning, meaning that davening will become something real in their life. Why is it such a petrifying thing? Because if I'm davening, that must mean that all those other areas in life, which I label myself as fraud or not real, they all everything has to change, right? If I start davening to Kadosh Baruch Hu, I can't do all the other stuff that I'm doing, right? If I'm davening, what do you mean? For one moment I'm real, one moment I'm not real? So we'd rather stay away from that commitment of, because we think it's a commitment when we pray, say, because I'd rather not be fraud. I'd rather just keep the low because I don't want to end up experiencing and tasting Kedusha, which would then make me feel very low when I'm not davening. But from the beginning of our learning about davening, there's been a constant theme that we're trying to taste. And that's when davening does not become that thing that you sometimes do, but rather, like the name of Raz's shul, that you become a prayer. Vani Tefila, that your life is a prayer. And we touched upon this a few weeks ago, but it's something that we're going to really hopefully taste tonight. When davening is definitely not just a spectator sport like it is in some shuls, I'll never forget. One time I was somewhere in Chutz La'aretz to do a Shabbos somewhere, and before I started davening in the minyan that I was supposed to daven in, they took me around to all other minyanim in this massive shul. So I walk into the main shul, and I see there are a lot of people in there. So I asked my host, I said, what time do they start? What time does davening start here? He looked at me like I was crazy. He said, like 45 minutes ago. What? I'm not kidding. It was a bunch of people just walking around schmoozing. Davening really did start 45 minutes before. So I really, like Tamim, purely asked him, when does davening start here? He looked at me like I was crazy. Davening started 45 minutes ago. Davening mamish became a spectator sport in certain places. But we're not just talking about it stopping to be a spectator sport. Tonight we're going to be talking about much more than that. Where your mitziut, your reality, who you are, is a prayer. That it's not this thing that happens sometimes. Your mitzius in this world is a prayer. When the Alter Rebbe, everyone knows that when the Alter Rebbe was eventually chose to go to Mezrich, to the Magid, so when he was told, when he was asked about what the decision making between why not go to Vilna, as opposed to him choosing the Magid of Mizrich, he said, learning, I already knew how to learn, but I wanted to learn how to pray, how to daven. Do any of you know Shivi Keller? You know Shivi, right? You know Shivi. So Shivi had this amazing article about him a few years ago in the paper that had a regime, had a signature in my heart. He was talking about a lot of the stuff that he went through. He went through a lot of wacky stuff. He's been through a lot, that guy. And if any of you know his nigunim, they're the deepest, most simple chants of tefillah. And when he was asked in this article about, tell me, who are you? Like, how would you how would you define yourself? He says, I really stink at a lot of things, but I really know how to daven. He said, I really know how to daven. Knowing how to daven is avodah. Avodah shebalev. Avodah means that it's something that takes work. And not just a matter of if I feel it, good, and if I don't feel it, not good. In other words, we sometimes really stay away from tefillah because we say, I'm not feeling it right now. But guess what? The davening is designed le'orer et haregesh, to awaken regashot, feelings, because who could say they wake up in the morning after whatever happened the night before, and the first thing they feel is to go into deep contemplation about the oneness of God in the world? That's not exactly the first thing we want to do in the morning. A lot of other things. So we take time, especially in Psuki de Zimra, we take time in awakening that ahava, that love that exists inside, to awaken it so that I could be one with what's going on inside me. Now, the word that many of you, and I also have a very hard time hearing it because it brings me back to bad memories, is kavana. Does the word kavana bring anyone bad memories? Do you have kavana? Were you mechaven? Right? Did it, right? Were you mechaven? So why is that? Because when you're younger, they ask, did you have kavana? Like, did you really mean it while you were davening? Especially if you grew up in yeshivas. But the word kavanah is what we're here tonight for. What does kavanah come from? The word kavanah come from the chaven, to aim. And when you're davening, you're aiming. The whole goal is you're aiming towards a certain world that you need to hold on to, that you really need to work really hard on being mechuvan to. That's what kavanah is. Kavanah doesn't mean did you feel the words you were saying. Kavanah means do you sense that there's a mahalach, that there's a place that you're going towards. Most people that I know that reach the highest moments of their life in davening didn't come from a siddur. If I asked you, like, the highest moments of tefillah in your life, how often do you remember back? Are you referring back to certain words that came out of a siddur? Usually, the highest moments of tefillah that take place in our life are not the moments that take place in a siddur. There are moments where something else is going on. And in order to understand what that is and what kavanah is in that world, we're going to be doing a little tiny piece here, a tiny piece of text over here. It's actually from Reb Nachman, the middle text over here. That'll help us out a lot in what we're trying to accomplish tonight with kavanah. Today was the yeah. Today was the Yortzeit of Sfas Emes, and this Friday is the Yortzeit of the Frierdiker Rebbe. It's a big week. Next week's my wife's birthday. It's a big week. All right, did it reach the back? All right, this is great. Well, first, because no one mentioned the Sfas Emes, look at the first piece we're going to do right now. This is a piece from the Sfas Emes. Today was his Yortzeit. Even if the Hebrew is hard for you, we'll be going right out of the text after a second. Sfas Emes is like this. Af ki pashut nire sheyesh la'adam litpalel b'sha'a shenitzach lebakasha. It seems, when do I daven? When I need something. Unfortunately, that's what usually drives me to prayer, when I need something. אבל באמת, עיקר מעלת התפילה הוא שיכוון לתפילה עצמה ולא לעשות בקשתו. Sfas Emes says the highest level of tefillah, the ikar, the meat of davening, is really when you mechaven, when you aim. Your aim in davening is not that you just get what you want, what you're asking for. Your aim is to fall in love with being in a relationship with God. Pshuto kemashma. Our kavanah is usually, I'm davening as hard as I can, I hope he says yes. The Sfas Emes says you're missing out on what the whole purpose of tefillah really is. The whole purpose of tefillah is that I fall in love with being in a relationship with God. You see, we're like, why are we scared of commitment? Because I don't know if I could always provide. I don't know if I could always be there, whatever it is. But when you fall in love with the fact that you're in a relationship, it takes you to another world. Details become secondary, and the basar of being in a relationship with God is what matters. If you ask anyone, when did they really experience a moment of true dveikut, of true clinging to God, it usually has nothing to do with if they felt that God answered their prayers or not. It has nothing to do with that. But unfortunately, we're taught when we're younger, daven, ask Hashem for anything, but no one ever told us when we were kids, daven, be one with yourself. Daven, be one with God. Just experience closeness. L'shema, for what? I need, Reb Shlomo has all these Torahs. What do you mean? In this world, I need something. I have a relationship because of something. There's always reasons. What about just l'shem, just being in the moment? That we don't know of. That's a hard thing for us to deal with. Ki af she'adam mevakesh al eze davar, even though when a person asks for something, mikol makom, nonetheless, be'amdo lehitpalel, while he gets up and he starts davening, yesh lo lishkoach tzrachav, a person should forget his needs, ulehitpa'el b'shivcho shel makom, and to just be in this wondrous awe that I'm standing before God. ואז יוכל להיות נענה בתפילתו. Then his davening could be answered. Why? על ידי שבקשתו גרם לו לבוא לתפילה. Because he realizes something so deep. This is so amazing what Sfas Emes is saying here. He's saying a person realizes, he's thankful after the fact that he needed something from God. You know why? Because him needing something from God brought him to come and stand before Hashem and daven, but he realized that it wasn't about what he actually asked for, but what would have driven him to come to shul, what would have driven him to pour his heart out. So you need like a need, a tzorech, you need a need for something, but then you realize that when you're really, really in love, then the need is secondary, and you're just thankful that something drove you to come and ask the Ribono Shel Olam for something. This will get a little bit clearer in a second. שכיוון שעל ידי הצרה בא אל התפילה, הוא מחובר לתפילה. He realizes that by means of his tzara, of his trouble that he went through, he eventually ended up coming to the Ribono Shel Olam. Now let me ask you something. How many of you came to God not because you needed something? How many of you came to Torah? How many of you came to Yerushalayim, but it had nothing to do with needing something? Anyone? Did you ever daven when you absolutely did not need anything and have a strong davening? You had no need for anything. So we usually look at that and say, look how shallow we are. We only come to the king when we need something. Well, Hashem designed it like this. Hashem designed it that something's going to schlep you to come and pour out your heart and ask for something. But you know what happens to you? What happens to you is that you forget that which you are asking for, and you're so in awe of the moment of being one with the Ribono Shel Olam that the bakasha becomes secondary, that what you asked for became secondary. So now let's go back to Kavana. With a teaching like this from the Sfat Emet, from the Sfas Emes, what are we aiming towards when we come to the world of Tefillah? Like a bank, like coming before the teller and asking them for something? Or is it just to reach a place, is the Kavana, is the aim, to reach a place that I'm so thankful that I know what a bank, the Havdil, right? That I know what a bank is, that I know where to go to, that I know where to write in, whatever I have to write in, that I know how to ask, that I pray that there's money, some kind of money left in there for me. Meaning that what I'm asking for in life really, really becomes secondary, but it's such a holy thing because it drove me to be here in the first place. So don't, chas v'shalom, don't start looking at your life and saying, wow, I just came to God to ask for things. That's how Hashem designed it. When things are going good in your life, you don't wake up in the morning and be like, I need to just be one with you. It just doesn't happen like that unless there's new things going on here in town. I don't know. But it's generally not the concept. It was designed like this. Something's going to schlep you in, but then it's to go much, much further. And when you really, really need something that you can't live without, a siddur is not going to help you. And I don't chas v'shalom mean to start bashing siddurim at all. We could learn two lines in a siddur and fly off it for eternity. But you and I are living in an age, in an era, that the highest moments of tefillah really are even deeper than asking for something. Because usually, the highest moments of davening come from a place where I don't even know what it is I'm asking for. Ever happened to you that you're standing before HaKadosh Baruch Hu and you wish that there was something specific to ask for? It would make life so much more simple. But the truth is, you know that there's not that you can't find the right words. You don't even know what you're asking for. You just know that there's emptiness. But there's no words to describe what it is because you yourself don't even know what that place is. And you could lose your mind. Sometimes people say, like, I've driven myself crazy because, for instance, I'm looking for a shidduch. Okay, what kind of girl are you looking for? What kind of guy are you looking for? I have no idea. You're a musician. You want to put out an album. What kind of music do you want to play? I have no idea. What kind of album do you want to put out? I mamish have no idea. You want so badly to experience a Shabbos, yeah, but what does that involve? What does that mean? I don't know. I just know that what I have now is making me feel empty. This place that we're talking about, that doesn't have words, has a meaning by Rabbi Nachman. If you look inside the next piece, this is Likutei Moharan Tinyana Hey Ot Bet. Rabbi Nachman says, "Shenitkalkel venofel ha'emunah." When a person's emunah, belief, is mitkalkel, it becomes mekul. How do you say mekulkal? That's a good word, huh? No, it means crooked. It's spoiled, yeah, spoiled, rotten. Venofel, and it falls down. Ad she'ein mo'il afilu kol tzaka, that even screaming, even going like this, I just want, you realize, I can't finish the sentence. Yeah, what do you want? I just want that. Yeah. Sometimes a person reaches that place that you can't even finish that sentence. What's going on? Where are you holding? Ibn Nachman says, "Shu kol belo dibur," which is a voice even without words, kanal, right? So there's not a sentence really. You're basically saying, "Ah," which is gavad, by the way. It's so therapeutic. It's unbelievable. Just to want to try it. We come here to be shy. I know, right? Right? On the count of 3, you ready? A big oi, like a really good one. Okay? Okay, I'm gonna do it whether anyone does it or not. I don't care because I need to scream. Okay? 1, 2, 3. That's really what's going on in our neshama all day long, by the way. We put it on mute because it's too hard to hear it. Because if we actually listen to that, we'd have to get our lives in check. That was the most natural thing that just happened right now. That's really what's going on all the time. Kol belo dibur. But what happens when you can't even do that? So Nachman says, "Azai tzrichin litzok min halev levad." Then you have to just scream out only from the heart. What does the screaming of the heart sound like? What does tzakat halev sound like? What do you think? The screaming of the heart. Doesn't sound. Called mama. Reb Nachman says you have to scream sometimes so loud till that no one in the world is able to hear you. Tzeakat halev. This place of tzeakat, this is a very trippy place. This place of tzeakat halev is one of the highest worlds of tefillah. It's a place where both words nor vocal cords, play any role at all. So if you could just close your eyes for a few seconds, and I'm not going to go into a whole exercise of bringing you back to the kid in you and that was left home from Gan. Your parents forgot to pick you up, and I'm not doing that stuff. But unfortunately, there is a place inside each and every one of us that is waiting. Our neshamas are waiting for tzakat halev to take place, for my heart to be screaming. You could try to scream. You could try. But you realize it's even deeper than that. It's even deeper than any world of physical expression. Nothing. It's the heart that's screaming, a screaming heart. And it's not even asking for anything specific. Tzeakat halev doesn't have words. Sometimes I think about the main difference between Lubavitch and Breslau, about the difference between Hisbonenus and Hisbodedus. Contemplation versus, I don't even know how to say Hisbodedus in English. There's no right word. Holy aloneness, I don't know. But when you're deep, deep, deep in Hisbonenus, in contemplation, you're not telling anyone a story. You're simply being open to receive that which your mind is being blown away by. So back inside Reb Nachman, he says, "Azay tzrichim litzok min halev levad, yivchinas tza'ak libam el Hashem, shehu tza'akat halev levad." Just the screaming of the heart, bli kol, without a voice. Yivchinas mima'amakim krasicha Hashem. Like David HaMelech says in Tehillim, from the deepest depths I call out to you, Ribbono Shel Olam, from the depth of my heart. What I'm freaked out about humanity, and I've spoken about this a lot with a lot of the Chaver the last few months, maybe the last year, is how many people were born, spent their whole lives in this world, died, and are buried, and they never experienced one moment of having either kol tzaka, a scream, a oi, that they never had an oi. They never ever screamed oi. And also how many people, probably the majority, never even knew that there's a concept called tza'akat halev. There's a concept called that the heart does cry, that the heart is screaming for something. You know, when I remember when right before Gush Katif, right before the Gerush from Gush Katif, so it was Yom Yerushalayim a few months before, and every year I have this list to play on that stage that overlooks that sea of people that mamish, that just, it's like 100,000 people that come in during this afternoon, evening. And that year, there was 100,000 people with some kind of an orange flag or an orange bracelet, because orange was the color of the expulsion. I don't really know what that means, but orange was this representing the color of Gush Katif. Whoever was Mizdaheh, whoever identified themselves with the Mahavak of Gush Katif. Can't believe it. I think it's going to be 10 years this summer. Right? 2005. I can't believe it. Can't believe it. So I remember the chief rabbi, Rabbi Mordechai Eliyahu. Is it Eliyahu? I think so. He was on stage, and he got up and he led a tefillah for Gush Katif. And there were 80,000 people, mamish davening, right? But they were davening for something specific. Then I remember going home, I said, what would it be like if for no reason at all, just because we're so longing to feel close to our own neshamas, 100,000 people will come to the kotel and have a tzaka. Or now I'm thinking about it, come there and be in utter silence davening, tzaka salev. And I started imagining, what was it like in the time of the Beis HaMikdash? Remember Reb Nachman has a teaching that in the Beis HaMikdash, there was a concept called He'aras HaRatzon, that the Ratzon of God was enlightened, that you knew, kind of like when you walked into the Beis HaMikdash, you knew what God wanted from you. And one of the reasons we're suffering so much from being in Galus is that we don't really know what God wants of us. We're not sure. We're not sure. Like those of us that are here are sure that it's all about just coming here and being in Eretz Yisrael. That's when we look at the Jews and the Galus. But what about those of us that are here? What does God want of us, those of us that came here already? And we're suffering so much because we're not sure. But you know what? We know in our heart of hearts that HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't need anything from us. But boy, does he want us to pray. Because praying is the closest I'll get to knowing what God wants of me in this world. Without a doubt. Tefillah comes from the word tofel. It comes from the word like naftulei elokim niftalti. It means a chibur. It means a connection. But we always think that davening is I'm connecting to God. That's nice, but let's go deeper. Davening is that I'm not a stranger to myself. Because when I scream that oi, I'm closer to myself than I am most of the time. But the highest is when I don't even say a word. How close am I to myself? I'm touching on something that I can't express to anybody. Now again, everything we're saying right now, you know that if you ever tasted it, anything we said right now does not come close to what the experience truly, really, really, really is. Doesn't come close. Not in the least. Nothing that we're saying right now. So what does it mean that I live a life of ani tefillah, that I become a prayer, that my metziut is the prayer? Not just shachris, mincha, mariv is when I'm praying, but that all of me is always praying. Does it mean that I'm walking around all day long asking God for things? That I'm always just asking God for things? Is that what it means that I become a prayer? That wherever I go, I'm just davening, please, 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 please? Or it may be that wherever I go, I hear my heart screaming as well, tza'aka salev, wherever I am in the world. Let's face it, we are very, very, very messed up in the deepest depths because why? Most of us don't feel at home. Meaning inside here, we don't feel at home. And it causes us to be so puzzled. All the confusions in our life is that when we're home, when we're inside, we don't feel at home there. That place of being close to myself and to God is a foreign place. It's a place that happens once in a while when I'm doing good and I stop bad habits and I let myself not be judged and I just go to shul and I feel good about it. But most of us, that's the only time where we feel at home. That's why we have to make tefillah so much more than shul, so much more than a siddur, especially if my reality, if my goal is that I become a tefillah. Now, what does it, think about in your life? I'm sure you have someone like that in your life, that you know their existence is vani tefillah. They are prayers. That you look at them, they're a prayer. They're pashut walking the streets of the world, they're a prayer. Everything about them is a prayer. Reb Shlomo was one big prayer. He wasn't asking all the time, but his mitziyut, his reality was one of being connected to tza'akat halev, that he could wake him up in the middle of the night and ask him, what is your heart crying for? And he would know. That's what it means that your mitziyut is a prayer, that your reality is a prayer. They don't have to start wondering, oh, my heart, I don't know, let me wake up, let me wake it up and I'll let you know. But that you're walking around in this world knowing what your heart is crying for. Maybe you don't have words for it, but you're aware and you're conscious of it. For many people, this whole talk is Chinese. I'll be very honest. Everything we said right now in most yeshivas that many of us grew up in, this has no, what are you talking about? Just shut up and get up for Shachris, right? What are you talking about? Right? Am I crazy? Imagine you go to Vishnitz, you have this whole, you talk Takas Alev, Takas Alev, I'll tie you by your pants. What are you talking about? Mamish, immediately. So there's this piece on the bottom over here that I wanted to tie into everything we learned right now. And maybe we'll sing it. It's really, really. We know that Reb Nachman was very clear to Reb Nosson to make tefillas out of all his Torahs, right? One of my favorite sefarim in the world is the Likutei Tefillas, is the book that Reb Nosson put together based on Rabbi Nachman's teachings. And this is a tefillah over here on the bottom of the page, where Reb Nosson just pours it all out. Everything we've been learning for the last few weeks, he pours it all out. So we will sing it. But sorry, before even those three words, like the Alter Rebbe writes in Tanya and the Gersa Tshuva, you have to decide right now you're going to have compassion on your neshama. That you're going to let yourself take, regardless of where you were before you came to Shir and regardless of where you're heading to from here. Just have a little bit of compassion on your own soul and let it taste dveikus and hiskarvus and closeness to itself. Ribono shel olam, Shomea Tefila. You hear every prayer. Aboiche b'tefila samo Yisroel berachamim, who chooses the prayers of his nation Am Yisrael with mercy. Zakeini na berachamecha harabim, leharbos b'tfilatami. May I merit through your great mercy that I should always be davening. Bechavana gedayla, with great aim, uvekoach gadol, with great might and strength, uvemesirus nefesh. For many people, mesirus nefesh is acknowledging the fact that their soul is crying. That's mesirus nefesh. Usually mesirus nefesh for us is just jumping in front of that old lady that's about to get hit by a truck. Mesirus nefesh for most of us today is letting ourselves be in touch with the fact that our souls are always screaming and crying. V'tazleini lachnis kol hakoyachos shebekirbi, v'soich divrei atfila. Please help me bring inside all the strength that exists in my midst. I should take all the koach that I know I have. I could feel my muscle in my arm, and I should bring it into the words of davening. It takes so much strength to get up in the morning, be with the siddur. It's not a thing of asking, do I feel it or not? You need to have strength. You need koyach. Be'eskelach l'shaber u'levater kol ha'machshavas hazardais sheba'olam. All those horrible thoughts, not just evil thoughts about other people, but all those thoughts that call me a fraud, that say that this really isn't me, what I'm feeling right now. It's just a little, sweet moment while I'm going to a yeshiva. Please take those thoughts and mamish break them, wipe them away from the face of the earth. Help me do it. Because why are they coming here? They come to confuse my davening. I'm sure many of you have tasted those moments where you worked so hard, you did all the achanas, all the preparation, then you finally sit in the moment in shul, and the last thing you can think about is what you want to think about. Don't let that alarm you. That's a sign that what you're about to really cry about is really mighty and really powerful. וכן לגרש ולסלק כל המחשבות של גדלות ושל כניס מעלי מעל הגבולי. And also those moments that make me feel haughty, that make me stop and be like, wow, look at me, I am holy. Those moments can terrorize you as well. All those moments, throw them away. They should have no way of coming into my mind at all. My davening should be refined and right and wanted. And the words that I say, the words themselves are so powerful, they should feel close to you, which essentially means close to me. That saka salave is so covered, it's blankets upon blankets, all these protections, all these kisuim, because I can't. It's petrifying being alive. It's petrifying being awake. Davening awakes a person more than anything in the world. May I merit to take it out of all its covering, everything that's blocking it. Ula'albisha, and to clothe it in clothes of light. Shehem or ha'avai. May the words that I'm saying have a fragrance of the way that Avraham Avinu spoke to you. May they smell a little bit like the way Sarah was davening to you. May they have a remnants of the way Yitzchak and Rivka were standing in that room davening for a baby. And the way that Yaakov kept on praying his whole life, trying to figure out what he's supposed to do, where he's supposed to go. And the Tefila of Leah, please don't make me marry Esav. And the Tefila of Rachel, Mama Rachel's Tefila, may that have some kind of remnant in me, the way that I daven. Ad shetiyeh mesukenes betachlis hatikun. Ibn Nassim says, may all my words be completely fixed and erected in the utmost tikkun that a person can have in this world. But most important, and this is the purpose of real prayer, V'yela koach. May my davening have strength in order le'oirer ahavascha elyoina, in order to awake the love which I know you have for me. Last week we were talking about this. If you ask many people if you believe in God, and you say yes, but then you ask a person, does God love you? It's not as easy to say yes, because you're still stuck in the math. The last time you did a cheshbon, I did too many averos, I don't know if he loves me today. You're going to get nowhere with doing calculations like that. So Reb Nosson says, this is what this whole tefillah is all about. It should be, give strength to awaken your true exalted love which you have for us. Connected to you with love and with divine friendship and closeness. וינעשה תמיד ייחוד קודש בריחו ושכינתי על ידי תפילתנו. May it be that whenever I come out of shul or whenever I open my mouth, that there's a unification and an achdus, a oneness between you and between the Shekhinah by means of our prayer. And that's very scary when you think about most ways people, most shuls, the way that most shuls are hanging out today. It should be such an Eis Ratzon for all of Am Yisrael to realize davening really is the key. V'yenase tamid, please say the last line with me. V'yenase tamid, yichud kudsha breichu, u'shecheginte al yedei tfilaseinu, yichud ashlim, v'tachlis hashleimus. In the world of completion, in the world of shleimus, of shalom, it doesn't mean perfect. It means that the imperfection, which is the need to pray, is the most perfect thing in the world. That which you feel lacking doesn't mean that you're a nebuch. It means you have a chance to be part of this dance called Tachlis HaShleimus. Ribono shel olam, Ribono shel olam, Ribono shel olam, Ribono shel olam. This is Reb Levi Yitzchak Berditchev's prayer. This is how he used to daven. He would just repeat this over and over and over and over again. Ribono shel olam, Ribono shel olam, Ribono shel olam, Ribono shel olam. Ribono shel olam, Ribono shel olam, Ribono shel olam, Ribono shel olam. Heilige Pinchas of Kuretz said most people think they come to daven so they can come to God. They said they're missing the point. Davening is God. Davening is the Ribono Shleim. Somehow we'll figure out a way really soon to stop thinking it's me and there's someone across from me. But that place inside of me that's screaming, that is the Nitzai Tzaliki. That is the Chelek Elokamimal. That is the Ribbona Shalayla screaming inside of you. I'm alive in you. Choose to be alive in me. Ribbona Shalayla. Ribbona Shalayla. Ribbona Shalayla. Ribbona Shalayla. Tidadai, dai, dadadai, dai, 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 Yashmi'enu means He will make us be heard. A kid that's crying doesn't care that someone solves his problems. A kid that cries only cares of one thing, that his voice should be heard. And once he hears that his voice is heard, the problems stop being problems. That's what davening is. Davening is not that you walk out and you know exactly what to do. Davening is when you walk out, that which blocked me from you, Hashem, and which blocked me from me ceases to exist. Strong, strong, very strong. In the eyes of every living creature, you will make me be heard. All you need is one person who feels that his tzaka salev is being heard. That's enough to give you enough strength to daven for eternity. Like we said in the first year, being next to a tzaddik while he's davening, that has a reshimu in you, it has a signature in you, a permanent kaviyas stamped into your soul. That you see someone's tzaka salev being heard in the world. That's enough to keep you going forever. Da 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 da. Oh yeah, da 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 da. Did die 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 die. Ay 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 ay. Da 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 da. Ay da da. Ay 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 ay. Ay ay ay. Ay 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 ay. Ay 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Da, 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 ya, da, dee. Dee, da, dee, da, dee, da, 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 da. Ay, 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 ay. Da, 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 da. Ay, 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 ay. Da, 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 da. Oh, ay, 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 ay. Da, 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 da. Ay, ay, oh, oh, oh. Did it die, 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 oh, oh, oh. Did it die, die, oh. Kadosh Baruch Hu should give us right now infinite kochos to totally cause a complete mapecha, a complete revolution for our children's sake, that they shouldn't, God forbid, grow up thinking that davening is confined to the way the world confines prayer right now. Because our children shouldn't have to wake up when they're 40 or 50 and saying, oh my God, I have a heart, it's crying. Children are so much more in tune with whatever we could imagine. We should let them know that access to their heart at a young age is a must. Is a must. Is mamash a must. Remember what the Baal Shem Tov asked every person when he met them. especially kids. He asked them, "What do you remember?" It's the first question Baal Shem Tov would ask children. Because a child during the 9 months, what's the teaching of the 9 months? Teaching that the child goes through for 9 months in the womb is to be so connected to Tzakas Halev, no matter what they go through in this world. And all we try to do in this world is get back to feeling at home with ourselves. And this is what the world of Tefillah is really designed for. This should be our kivun, our aim. Mamish mechaven, aim, with a mamish, a clear, direct sword, whatever you need to imagine what it's like to set your target on something. Your target isn't to get your questions answered. Your target is to realize that your questions don't block you from being you, which comes absolutely alive during Olam HaTefillah. Hashem Shemamish bless us and have infinite rachmanas and neshamas. And all the tzaddikim that we're learning from should be holding our hands a bit tighter, because there's nothing left besides tefillah. That's it. It's nothing left besides tefillah. All right, shakoach everybody. Thank you so much.
See you next Sunday, everyone.
You know what neighbor blows my mind? Puts me in that place where I put them. Adir. So are you in the shuk? Perfect. I'm coming there. Wait for me in the open shuk, the opening to the open shuk. Okay. Awesome. Bye.
I'll be thrown out.
That's my name.
I don't know, how am I treating him? Wow, that's a different question. I
knew it would be like this. I didn't go that way.
He's so tricky.
He's a he knew it. Yeah. Still is? Yes, yes.
She's taking this music. You wouldn't believe how many
No way.
yeah, except the it's so sweet. It's a beer and an oboe, just
Wow.
playing together.
Wow. Full of surprises.
You know what? I don't know because it seems like there are mothers living there. So I don't think that they're going to the wedding. When he has to go visit his mother, and my mother. That he really needs to be there. So I don't know. So next Sunday night.
No. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Wait, can I sell it on Shabbos? Yeah. He doesn't say here that there is a list.
It doesn't say here. Because this, it's not all the time. It's just 4 classes. Next week is the last one. Do you have any other questions? Just let me know.
Let's see if I did like on the Facebook page.